Hi, friends. Welcome to another edition of the Incredible Hulk podcast. This time we're looking at the season 3, episode 9 story from 1979 called The Snare. And it guest starred Bradford Dillman as Michael Sutton, who is this complete lunatic, which we'll go into. I'm joined, very kindly joined by my friend Phil for this chat. How are you, Phil?
I'm all right, thank you, Frank, and good to be here as well.
So yeah, the snare, right? And it's the only thing that stood out for me really at this point is that it's quite a rare exception in this series, as it's mainly a two-hander. There's no cast really in it. Not a very small cast. There's only Banner and Sutton.
Yeah, I was going to mention that as well.
you could count the Hulk as well, but as he's an extension of the same person, it's still two people really.
Yeah.
So, it's very unusual in that respect. There's no one else really at all, apart from a couple of extras at the beginning, and that's it. So I don't know if that's been done before. I'll have to look into, the series, but I think that's quite a rare exception. But it does give the story more time to breathe when you've got less characters, I think.
It was slightly claustrophobic just having a two-hander, to be honest.
Yeah, very much.
It felt very enclosed, which is how it worked anyway, because of the nature of the story.
Yeah. Built the tension up good as well. And stuff like that. And so I thought it worked quite well in that respect. So they didn't have to focus just on that one strand rather than too many, other strands going on. So anyway, this guy, Michael Sutton, played by Dillman, I think it's safe to say at the beginning at least, he's an eccentric millionaire. Later on, he's a psychotic one. But it's interesting how it opens up, because it's got David in there waiting for a flight in an airport. And, to pass the time, he gets chatting to this guy. And I noticed that, Dillman's character is like homing in on him quite early on, thinking, this guy is a loner, blah, blah, blah. He's asking him a few things, kind of setting him apart from other people.
Yes.
Whatever nefarious plan he's got, lined up. So this setup is interesting, isn't it, Phil, from the off, really?
Yeah, because, for me, alarm bells rang straight away with this guy. And as I wrote down in my notes, I was saying, I'm surprised that Banner didn't click on to this weirdo straight away.
Pretty sharp, isn't he? About things like that,
yeah. I thought, this is not normally, this is Dr. Banner, not Diddley Doke from down the village hall. I mean, how is it he doesn't know that this bloke is a bit more than he makes it out to be?
Yeah.
Can I just say, was there a cameo of at the airport, you saw this black guy sitting in one of the, I thought, I know that face from somewhere. I thought, was that a famous cameo of someone? And I thought you might know who the black guy was.
I don't know.
Because he looked awfully familiar to me, and I kept racking my brains. I couldn't think of it.
He may be, but I looked up the cast. It was really difficult because all it had there was the only other person that was in the cast was the pilot of the little plane that they travelled in.
Yes.
Who was just a cameo appearance, But it didn't list anyone else, unless, of course, I don't know. Just maybe this guy was just an extra that you're talking about,
I mean, in regards to the character of Michael Sutton, he was very, very creepy. Even to, I don't want to say, but even to the point of being a dirty old man kind of creepiness to him. Yeah. Because even when at that one point where he takes a photograph of David when they're
that was really.
I was like, okay, David, wake up, man! This man is taking pictures on you.
You're in trouble.
You're not even twigging it. Come on.
Yeah. That was really worrying. But yeah, I mean, it's just. I just thought it was, even though it was creepy, it was intriguing how he was trying to psych David out in the early stages as to what I was about, and making sure that have you got any family waiting for you? Is anyone waiting for you at the airport? And no. And he's sussing him out with these questions, working out that this guy's a loner. He's got no one waiting for him. He's got no immediate family to speak of.
Indeed.
I can get him out there, and no one's going to miss him. That's
which begs the question.
How many creepy shit?
Which begs the question: how many times has Sutton done this to various people? I mean, if he's done that a few times, although he did say that in this story, I usually hunt animals, but for once I want to hunt a human. it's like, well, if he's done this before, how come no one's cotton onto his ways? And is he just latching onto ways and strays that no one would miss?
I guess so. Because
So,
this island's like cut off from nowhere. There's no way they can get back to mainland without, obviously the necessary travel means or something.
And to a certain level, without giving the game away too early, I think the end resolution was a justified resolution for me. If that's the sort of guy that guy is.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. It was a very dark one too, that resolution.
It was.
It really was quite a grim one, the way it ended. But we'll get to that. Yeah, that was quite unique in the story as well. That kind of ending. I don't think that's been done that far before. But anyway, we're getting back to anyway, he challenges David at the beginning to a game of chess. So then he's like working out like how good this opponent is, working out his mental strategy,
agilities and all that. Yes,
and he does seem to be a bit of a sore loser when he wins, doesn't he?
Yes, indeed.
It's a bit. He doesn't like that. That guy doesn't like that at all. So I think he's a very he doesn't cope well with losing things. So I think he likes to be like the winner all the time, and therefore now he wants to challenge Banner in a very different way.
In a very different way.
Like a matter of a cat and mouse.
Yeah, I mean that part of the story where the whole hunt goes on. That kind of reminded me of, say, the Doctor Who episode Deadly Assassin, when the Doctor's running away from the Master's henchman in the Matrix. It's already built like that.
We have to bear in mind here that we're talking to Hulk fans, so some people might not be Doctor Who fans here.
Okay, I understand that. Yeah,
so, but anyway, what Phil's alluding to really is there was a story way back with Tom Baker as a Doctor, and there was this setting. It was set in a kind of dreamlike state that he was in, and he was being hunted down by this kind of sniper guy. Yes. There are some echoes to this story in that respect, But so basically, all the flights keep getting delayed. Banner's sitting there in the departure lounge. Time's ticking by. This guy Dillman offers to take him back to his island for the night, I think, or the day or whatever, and then the pilot would go out, refuel, take him back to the airport or something like that in the next time. Yeah, but that's at least the initial plan anyway.
When David Banner noticed that the plane or the jet flies off away from the island, I thought again he should have thought, well, hang on, where's he going? And is he coming back? And it's like, freak alert.
I think he said something like, "Oh, he just goes out for supplies to the mainland, and he'll be back. Like he only comes like once a day or something."
Yeah, that's right.
But there was so many alarm bells, red flags that should have been that were showing
Exactly.
That David, being like a scientist and a very clever guy, usually picks up on these things, was a bit slow that time.
Very short-witted, very short.
But then again, I suppose that's just the premise of the story. But what other things would you want to bring up at this point, Phil, in this stage? Now they got to the island now.
Yeah,
showing his hospitality with him and stuff in the house.
I did like the visual peninsula of his island. It was very rugged, very well laid out, and it gave you a sense of, wow, this is like desert. There's no one around. You've got no chance of escape, anywhere apart from the obvious thing that we talked about at the end. And it was just so. Oh, and I thought David looked very fetching in his denims and all that. I thought very well known.
But it was definitely it definitely gave the illusion that they were cut off from
civilization,
from the city a bit. Yeah. I tried to find out where that was shot, but I got a feeling because those areas look quite familiar in other stories. I think it was probably shot at Universal. At the back lot of the studios, they had a lot of wilderness there and lakes, mountainous regions, forests.
Oh, so they got an
awful lot for other stories. So I think I got a feeling it probably was done there for budgetary reasons as well, I guess.
Indeed.
But I can't swear to it because I can't find any info about the location. But I would imagine that's probably the case. But
I do have one gripe, which I'm now realizing they often drop this in just to give the Hulk a kind of like other sideness to it. I wish they wouldn't make him all sort of like tender wender when, say, after he calms down from being a Hulk, he's being tender to like little birds in a nest, and making sure that they're put back in their nest, and then it kind of ruined the illusion of the tension of the episode when he's like, and then after a while he's like, "Oh, little birdie, let me put you in your little nest and put you back on the."
Yeah.
I thought, "Oh, come on!" But
We got to allow him his little moment, his little.
well, yeah, it's true. Because we as viewers have to remember that he's not a killer, and he is a gentle giant.
Yeah.
And we have to look at him that way.
Yeah.
But I do often think that once the hunter or this Michael Sutton saw him turn into Hulk, I would have hightailed it after seeing that green monster. But he was game for it. He was like, "Oh, I've got something better to chase than."
That was really intriguing. That Hulk out was really good at the beginning, I thought, because he's hunting this Paul Banner's like thinking now he's realizing what the hell, and because before that we forgot to mention before that. You were mentioning about him taking a picture of Banner in the house.
Yes.
But then that was bad enough. But then he drugs Banner.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah, we forgot that he drugged him.
And then the chase is on. He's basically knocked him out. When he wakes up, now he's starting to like show his true colours. This guy, and he's got voice recordings telling him what to do, where to go. Now it's going to be an interesting challenge. Like
that was the record. Those recording things. That was just to see how intelligent Banner could be to piece things together and get himself out of this mess that he's in.
Yeah.
And you know what? To a certain level, he got it going on. I mean,
he was quite impressive in some parts of it, actually.
Yes, he was.
He was. He done a great job. Bill was great in that. And
if anything, he didn't need to be the Hulk to outwit this man, but circumstances brought the Hulk out, and there you go.
Intellectually speaking, Banner may have got out there alive, possibly. With his cunning and intellect, it may not have happened the way it did, but of course, because of the series, you've got to have the Hulk. That's the way you've got to have the Hulk. But it was good how it was done, and that Hulk out was cool because I like the way that the music, that music that sort of ramps up when he's going to change. That kind of. You can see it's getting tense. It's getting tense. He's going to come out in a minute, and he's trying to get back up through the pit, and he falls back down again. And then this scorpion, I think it was,
stung him. Yeah,
stung him, and that was it.
That was it.
It was really cool how they got that tension building up, and that camera work, the way they sort of rocked it and zoomed in and out of him. That was really brilliantly done.
It wasn't
really cool camera work in that. Which is often the case in the series, actually. But
I do like the bit. Well, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but I do like how they, at the beginning when the Sutton is driving Banner to his lodge, he's telling them the story about the bear on the cliff. I do like the poetic justice at the end of that of the story, because that kind of brought that full circle.
Oh yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but we'll get on to that because that was very intriguing as well. That ending, for many reasons, actually, So anyway, the Hulk comes out, and of course now like Dillman's like really fired up. Now he thought it was more interesting enough to have Banner to hunt. Now he's got this creature that comes out of Banner, and now it's like, whoa, this challenge is the best ever. Now the hunt's really on. Now I want to get this creature and have it as a trophy, more or less,
Yeah, which I thought was
in his house, all these creatures he's killed and stuff, like.
I kind of thought that was the beginning of when he first hulks out, that it was short-lived. It should have been a bit more extensive.
Yeah.
To the hunt.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, they could have maybe done a wee bit more with that, perhaps a bit more of a chase or something.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And but it was good. The initial sort of tension building up to it was brilliant. And stuff like that. And when he first sees him, and he's looking, oh my God, it's coming out of me, But of course, it gets him really excited now, and now he thinks, definitely, this is what I want now. And stuck on the end of a stick.
Yeah.
The Hulk.
Yeah, indeed. And
this is going to be my greatest challenge yet. So now, of course, he's just completely deluded at this point now.
Way deluded.
And more the crazy is more coming out of him at this point. This guy is very dangerous. So again, Bill and him worked brilliantly together. I thought, they were great two-hander, great acting chops from both of them, and it was just tension after tension, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't once the Hulk, the whole hunt starts. It doesn't let up. It's a continuous rolling ball of consequences and situation, which I like that. I thought it was just going to be like, oh, hunt the Hulk. The Hulk sort of like beats him up, and then it's over and done with. But they managed to stretch it out to a point where you don't know what's going to happen to poor Banner. You think this guy is going to, win the day through.
Yeah, yeah.
But he does one fatal, stupid mistake, and I think, oh, you poor thing.
And some of the traps he lays out are pretty good as well. Because,
yes.
but yeah. Banner gets on. Banner uses his wit there as well, because he traps Sutton as well, doesn't he? And
he does.
Hoisted by his own petard, literally, wasn't he?
He was
upside down by his leg. But he didn't have much time. Maybe he had to run in there really quick. Get the
he had to run. Turn around, run away.
Yeah, he's off again. Oh, you may have got that one, he says to Banner, but I'm after you, David. I'm after you,
Yeah.
It didn't deter him too long, He's back after him again. And there was one moment there, Phil, where I really thought he would Hulk out, because there was a second bit sequence where he's in the lake and he's testing him out, and he's climbing this thing up, ladder up the mountain.
Yeah.
And he fires his bow at it, and it starts tearing, and he's hanging off.
Yeah, I thought I was going to.
I thought that's going to be it. Hulk out. No. He didn't. He got all the way up there, and then we got like this heroic music. And David, you're a hero, man.
He got to the summit quite good.
Yeah. David was heroic. I mean, the way he got through those things was pretty bloody impressive, really, mate. Seriously,
And wasn't there a certain scene where you saw like lions and tigers running? And I thought, was that part of his menagerie, that he's got those creatures that he?
Yeah, I don't know where they were in the actual scene.
I know it was like you saw them running across the valley, and then you didn't. There was not much to it after that. I was like, okay,
probably stock footage. Yeah. Anyway, it was just to give the illusion that it was a bit of a wild area,
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
And of course, that's what he hunts for and stuff, mostly tigers and things like that, and up till the point he met the Hulk, that is,
Yeah.
Now this is his ultimate trophy,
I want to chase a monster.
What's a shame that they didn't have much time to do was explore his character a bit more as to what made him become like that. It would have been interesting.
Well, well, you can, with all the stuff they were giving us about the character anyway. You don't really want to delve into his background, because it's going to be very seedy and very disgusting and horrible.
Yeah, something drove him to that point. And I was like, maybe they could have just thrown a little bit in. I don't know. You might have just sort of deepened it a bit. But
they could have said that. Oh, his missus or whoever got mauled by an animal, and so he's getting revenge on the animal kingdom by killing them. That kind of like anything would have done it, really. But it was just the fact. But then again, I suppose with that narrative, they've only got 45, 50 minutes to tell a story. Mm-hmm. Sometimes these things do get overlooked. Yeah.
But it is what it is. I mean, you can read into it in any way you want. Obviously he's emotionally damaged in some respect to be like that.
Exactly.
Maybe that's all we need to know.
And that's the good thing about that character, because the actor managed to convey all that damage quite easily to us, and he was very believably creepy to me. Very believably. Like,
and he did it in quite a subtle way, not like a laugh out loud like pantomime.
No, yeah, it was like you say, a subtle, slightly unhinged person.
Yeah. So now we get to the point, Phil, that we were talking about earlier on, with the Numon, as it were, the end scenes where we get the last Hulk out. So he's basically managed to narrow Banner down on this cliff face. So Banner's in a bit of a dilemma here. He's got him one end with the harpoon, or whatever you call it, and the cliff drop at the other. So now, what do we do?
He's between a rock and a hard place.
Exactly. So what do you think at this particular point you wanted to bring up, Phil, about this scene?
Well, I was just like, because the man himself. I mean, let's go back. Whilst Banner's on the run throughout the valley and everything, this Sutton goes back to his cabin and he prepares arrows dipped in some sort of poison or something.
Yeah, seems to be that, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got these arrows dipped in poison, and when he reaches the cliff top where Banner is, actually, can you remind me how he made Banner turn into the Hulk on the cliff top? Did
Yeah,
he?
he had a whip.
Oh, was it the whip that makes that?
He kept sort of like lashing Banner on the with it,
Oh, okay.
and trying to get him angry, and
yes, I kind of missed that because I think I must have turned away.
And then he catches him, lassos him around the feet, and so he drops down on his back.
Which in turn
then,
made
of
him
course,
Hulk out.
we get another thing that happens where Sutton's character gets hoisted by his own petard again because the arrow goes into his leg.
That's why I was
coming to poison. Yeah.
So he started to poison him. And then it's like, and their old Hulk picks up a big boulder, getting ready to crush the man's skull in. And then he realizes in his Hulk mind, oh, look, he's no threat to me now. He's losing consciousness and he's becoming disjointed. Yeah. Let's fling that rock across the valley quite easily. I thought that was quite nice. And I think it was a lucky thing that Sutton did self damage himself with a poison arrow.
Yeah.
Because things would have gone a different way otherwise.
Exactly. It's interesting how it worked in the narrative that he accidentally killed himself.
Yes.
The Hulk had no hand in that.
Yeah, no hand in that. So he's guilt free on that.
Yeah.
But I did think that I thought to myself, when the Hulk dived into the lake below to pull him out, I thought, don't do that. Let the bugger die. After what he put you through, what are you getting there for? But then you realise he pulled him out only to obviously.
He realises he's dead. His limp body, and he knows. I guess even Mr. Hulk, he knows that the guy's dead. I think.
Yeah.
But then it turns this really very grim scene, doesn't it? Where Banner's buried this guy.
Yeah,
put a little sign up, like a little headstone type sign.
Why are you gonna do that? we know you're a kind geezer and all that, but come on, that man put you through hell. Let's be realistic. And you're gonna bury his body and put a headstone on it and make it look nice and pretty? No, sir.
It was a very strange scene there. I thought.
Yeah.
It was just played out very, very oddly. So something was off, and then of course Banner leaves. There's this little little boat, isn't there, tied up?
The coda. This bit got to me. This bit was like, I didn't expect this. I did not expect this.
Good little twist. Go on, say it.
I was like, okay, so Banner, after burying the guy's body, and he remembers that the guy's got a boat on the jetty, on the island, on the jetty. So he goes to the jetty, and he said, but he still had the presence of mind to think, I remember this guy always sets traps. So he's looking around, making sure there's no traps, booby traps to the boat or anything. So he's carefully and meticulously making sure that he can get on the boat and row it away. But before you realise that, there's a tape recorder that the guy is very fond of using on the boat. So Banner's like, okay, I've got to check this thing out, make sure it's not booby trap. It's not booby trap. So he lifts it up, he takes it off the boat and puts it on the jetty, on the side of the jetty, climbs in the boat with his bag and stuff. And then as he pushes away, he presses the play button, and the guy's voice is heard saying, "You win, blah, blah, blah. But I always going to have the last laugh," basically. And the tape recorder blows up. But the tape recorder blows up like a bomb, but Banner is far away enough in the boat to get away scot-free. I thought that was a clever little coda. I thought, that guy wasn't going to give up. Even
to the last minute, even when he's dead, he still had the last word, didn't he?
Yes.
Unbelievable how far ahead he thought. Just in case I don't live, I got one more trick up my sleeve.
That's right, and I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, that was
brilliant. A really good thing.
But it was a very very strange downbeat ending, wasn't it? It was an odd ending with that blowing up and David just sort of going off, like on the boat.
I mean. If I go back right to the beginning where David's actually in the airport lounge, he must have a passport that says David Banner. So, and if he's trying to hide his identity from various authorities and people, he's going to need a fake passport, isn't he? Because in the story he calls himself David Bennett.
Yeah.
So he's using different aliases wherever he goes. So I was quite confused as to why is that an airport, and he's going to be obviously sounded out. has been alive. Dr. David Banner is not there.
I don't know how he gets around it. He must have good contacts. I'll tell you that.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
He's got some of the scrupulous characters, obviously, and giving false documents and passports and stuff.
And it's very fortunate that after his first Hulk out, that he's able to root around in Sutton's clothing store and find nice clothes to replace his torn ripped one.
Yeah, it just seemed to fit him perfectly for some reason.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
universal wardrobe. They always just fit him just right, don't they?
Exactly.
He's always got the same size shoes. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was good that he it was a nice sad kind of like.
It was very bittersweet, wasn't it?
That's the word. Yeah, bittersweet. Yeah.
Although more bitter, really, when you think about it. But
so we're aware that river leads on to the great ocean. I don't know where it's going to lead him to. So he probably end up in China for all I know.
I'm just trying to think what episode followed it, whether he ended up in Chinatown or something. He did a couple of ones like that, didn't he?
Yeah.
I'll have to look. What was it? You can look it up, Phil. What was the next story following that one?
Well, if I quickly just go into my library.
It'll probably be something completely different to what we think, yeah.
All right, open up my thing. Bear with me while we... have you got anything of interest to say while I'm doing this? Please continue.
I don't think... only one thing while you're doing that. I forgot to mention that the story was co-written. There was two writers who may have been new to the series at that point, and I hope I spelled the names right. There was Richard Christian Matheson and Tom Solossi. And again, it was directed by Frank Osati, who doubled for Bill in a lot of the stunts work in it as well in that story.
Okay.
He was mainly a stunt man, but he did do directing. He directed quite a few Hulks.
Absolutely.
So that's quite cool as well. Yeah.
Right. I can tell you, Series 3, Episode 10 was called Babalao.
That was that story, just briefly, was about kind of voodoo stuff. So he actually ended up in New Orleans in that one.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to work out whether the river actually connects to New Orleans. I don't know. That's where he ended up in the next one anyway.
Babalao. Okay.
Babalao, yeah. It's like a voodoo type thing. It was a good story, that, actually. We'll cover that at some point. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah.
It's all about witch doctors and things like that and superstition. And you've got the Mardi Gras going on, the famous Mardi Gras they have in New Orleans.
Yeah, so it's kind of reminiscent of James Bond Live and Let Die kind of scenario.
Yeah, kind of that vibe, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, mate, that would be a cool one to cover. But anyway, getting back to this, Phil, overall, man, what did you think?
Overall, I thought it was an intense, claustrophobic story. The main villain of the piece, he was the creepiest man I've ever come across on TV.
But in a very subtle...
But in a subtle way, but it was still like, come on. But I just couldn't understand how David Banner could not twig that this man was off his Fruit Loops, man.
Yeah.
I just couldn't understand it.
Slipped up a bit there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Usually he's got a very good gut instinct, but not that time. And maybe it's just tiredness from waiting for all these delays of the planes and that. He wasn't or the chess game, knocked him flat or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned that David Banner is quite a good, a celebrity chess player because he beat this guy twice.
Yeah, and this guy was supposed to be really, really good at it as well.
Yeah.
Of course, as you said earlier, he didn't take kindly to being beaten. No, so therefore, I think that's why he gave David such a bad rap when he got him to the island. Also probably, But a great story. Nice that it was, again, it worked really well with the claustrophobia, as you said, Phil. But just having two main characters really they're focused on, throughout it. From a couple of Hulk outs, it was just Banner and Sutton, and it works quite effectively for that reason, I think.
Yeah, because it gave you more to concentrate on, in what was going on without having distractions to the narrative.
That's right. Yeah. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Phil, for this one. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I did as well. I really enjoyed it because it was just absolutely spot on. And you know what? The more I watch these Hulk reruns again, the more I wish they would bring it back in some form.
But anyway, we'll leave it on that note. And that was the Snare for the most part.
Yeah.
Great little story. If you haven't checked it out, please do. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yes, you will. You can. You
We
will.
always like to try and recommend these episodes if you haven't seen them. But
Right. So remember, So remember that season 3, episode 9, the snare of the TV Hulk series, 1979.
That's right. Brilliant stuff. So thanks again, Phil, for joining me.
You're more than welcome. I'm thoroughly enjoyed it.
And we'll see you all soon again on the Incredible Hulk podcast. Till then, guys, take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.